Marble Snap is no secret to extremely powerful Season Pass cards. When I played with Shadowlands Daredevil, he's going to be meta-defining. Let's break him down. Hi, I'm Glazer, and today I'm going to give you different Shadowlands Daredevil decks. Shadowlands Daredevil is a 2/3 that reads, on reveal, shuffle in 3 demons. When you draw a card that has 6 or more power, plus 2 power. So when we look at Daredevil, by the way, Demons, for anyone new here, is a 1/6, otherwise blank card. When we look at a new card, the first thing we do is we think of synergies. What does this card do? What does this card want to do? This card wants to scale early power in a really, really interesting way. It wants you to build a deck of as many different characters that have 6 or more power as possible, with some potential draw, and it's asking you, is the upside of getting what is usually, if played on the right turn, at least a 2/9, is that worth it? Is getting to a 2/11, a 2/13 in the right circumstances worth it? And if you're hearing those stats and you've played Marble Snap, you know the answer is probably yes. Now, there's some other considerations for this deck. We'll get to that in deck building. But what we have is a card that plays with a lot of power, plays with cards that start with a lot of base power, and scales upward as the game goes on. We care about priority, power, and tempo. Let's get to some decks. The first thing I tried was to find the best 6 power and up cards in Marble Snap. I want at least a couple 1-drops, 3 2-drops, a few 3-drops, a couple 4-drops, and then I didn't want to go too high on the cost curve. 5 is a good top end. Why? Demons are not free, they're 1/6s, and powerful enough to play. Now, in addition to Shadowlands Daredevil, the Season Pass premium card that comes with him, Wilson Fisk, is a 5/9, and he costs 3 if you have the highest power among cards in play. So I wanted cards that give me a chance of that. The most recent OTA buffed Martyr to a 1/6. This deck, thanks to Debris, is extremely good at filling every location, and then there's literally just no downside to Martyr. Debris naturally is a 3/8, the final piece in Sabin Nur. Objective, have a full front row at each location, something Debris makes easy. Transform into Apocalypse Celestial's Chosen. He's a 4/6, he works with Daredevil, and becomes a 4/9 that will get rid of one of the rocks and make it one of the likely to be 6-ish power cards in the deck. That's a big power spike for this list. Cull Obsidian's really good. I have 1-drops in play. He's 10 power. He will trigger Daredevil and also gives me some beef. There's only one 2/6 native, and that's Lizard. Luna Snow is one of the best 3/6s. She creates a 1-drop, which works for Cull Obsidian. She gives us extra energy, which works for playing extra demons. Pairing really well with Luna is Cosmic Ghost Rider. If you can manage to make her Ice Ball on the opponent's side in front row, Cosmic Ghost Rider can basically turn it into a rock, while also giving us a piece that can further scale our Daredevil. As we want the highest powering card, Ares, with the amount of beef in the deck, is very likely to be a 4/12 that also buffed Daredevil and trigger my Wilson Fisk on turn 5. Finally, draw King Eitri, now statted at a 1/3. He's just a very good rate. Eitri gets you a demon once you play Daredevil. The last card, Adam Warlock, kind of silly with Shadowlands Daredevil. You will happily play him around turn 4 or 5. That extra draw each turn is an extra chance for Shadowlands Daredevil to trigger, even the very last turn of the game. If that sounds like the kind of 2-drop you want, well, this is only the first deck. Let's look at what else we can do with the card. Now we look at some of the other better decks in Marble Snap and see how it fits in. Supergiant remains an extremely powerful meta card. Most cards that want to combo off don't want to reveal at the end of the game. They want to reveal on the turn they can to help enable the combo. Supergiant ruins that, and so she's extremely powerful. Supergiant is also a 6-power card. Her package currently includes Ozymandias, has ongoing, your rocks have +3 power. Debris, a 3/8, creates a bunch of rocks at each locations. We also added Rhino. If Rhino had 1 more power, he'd be truly perfect. But hey, he's an extra rock. He's extra ways to fill locations. We do still care about filling locations because with Martyr as a 1/6, she's a must-have as well. Shadowlands Daredevil, I think, is almost always going to go with King Eitri where possible, so we added King Eitri. Because this deck should claim priority easily, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, a way to punish cards when you have priority, and especially useful with Supergiant. The other card that often goes with Supergiant is Cosmo, because I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Shadow King. Cosmo in the Daredevil lane can help protect us from that. I went with Ascani Sun. We're playing a big tempo game. We'd generally rather play Shadowlands Daredevil, but Ascani Sun is still a very powerful place for us to be. I also added Patriot. Patriot works with the demons, turning them into 1/8s is just great stats. In addition, we have the rock package, and getting a little bit of extra benefit out of the rocks made perfect sense to me. And finally, Malekith. For games I don't see Supergiant, the deck is made bigger by Shadowlands. Having Malekith to thin the deck seems really strong to me. If he pulls a demon, you just played a 4/12. That's really, really good on rate. Your downside is pulling Daredevil, Ascani Sun, or Eitri, but you don't really want any of those cards on turn 5. So getting any of those cards and just playing a 4/9 while cleaning up your draw is an acceptable compromise for the deck. You can still hit a card like Patriot, Rhino, or Debris, and those can all be game winners. This one felt really good. I think Shadowlands Daredevil officially replaces the nerfed Iron Patriot in this list. Once I played the rock decks, Supergiant felt really, really good. So I looked over some decks, and I realized our friend Zenade, a Sauron main, had a Supergiant Red Skull list that made sense. Supergiant here allows the native points of the Red Skull package to really take over. Cards like Red Skull, Typhoid Mary, Starbrand, Lizard, and even Martyr all have text abilities that are downsides, but they're all 1/6 or bigger. How do we get rid of their downsides? Well, we have 3 ways, all in the 1-cost slot. Techno-Organic Virus is going to overwrite their text, and they're all going to get +1 for each TO virus played. If you see Sauron early enough while these cards are still in the deck, you'll be able to get rid of the downside of at least the ongoing cards. Zero's downside is his timing. He just needs to be played right before one of these cards. None of these will trigger Shadowlands Daredevil, but they enable me to play far more points in the deck than I otherwise would be able to. Because I have so many points, I should still easily have priority, easily be able to win lanes. And of course, Supergiant helps with that, so Ascani Sun remains in this list. Whew, this one's really, really straightforward. So hopefully you give it a try. If you like playing big things, the point here is to have the biggest stats, not let your opponent outscale your big stats using Supergiant. If you can do that, you should win plenty of games of Marvel Snap. This one is real, real nasty. This Aurora build felt as strong as anything. A lot of that was that I natively drew Aurora. Aurora is a card you definitely want to see as the top end for these decks. Strife lets us basically play Aurora for only 4 power. If we have Strife and we combine Strife with Aurora, sometimes we could even play Strife earlier and then play Aurora later. Without that, this deck lacks synergy. If everyone's playing Shadowlands Daredevil, we need ourselves another angle. Now, this deck does an amazing job at collecting Aurora buffs, and that's part of what makes it so good. We have the Etrian Warlock returning. Now that we don't care about as much tempo overall, we're able to get our draw package back into the game. In addition, 2 drops, good for Aurora. Zombie Mr. Fantastic on reveal and activate, which obviously matters for Aurora. His ability can also buff the demons if we play them. Sam Wilson does not offer us any direct benefit for Shadowlands Daredevil. He's just really too good to not have since he provides a buff in 2 different lanes from your Aurora play. Lizard as an extra ongoing. Daredevil is actually going to get buffed by Aurora. Then we have Luna because extra energy here is important. I took out Debris and put in Gladiator. If, again, Shadowlands Daredevil is so good, being able to Gladiator that card away seems fairly powerful. I want opponents to be forced to play fair. I don't want to die to combo decks to people cheating giant cards in play. Now it's time to try the card Stardust. Cards can't be added to location skip by playing or moving them. This deck, outside of Sam Wilson, doesn't do any of that. You just add cards to your hand that you then play. Forcing opponents to just play fair is an extremely powerful thing to do. Also, Stardust is a 6. Finally, Thing for Steps. We're filling lanes, we're filling the board. Thing for Steps, if we play him early enough, is a nice, easy 5/10 that destroys an opponent's card that has less power. That is often going to be used to try and target Shadowlands, Victoria Hand, Gambit, Horseman of War, and so on. This is an extremely, extremely powerful list. A lot of it's going to depend on if adding 3 cards to your deck makes Aurora too inconsistent. That's why we went back to adding 2 draw cards, but this one felt so, so good. I don't want to leave my early CL players out here, and so I decided to create what is the best early CL deck for you. You can buy the season pass as soon as you're done with the recruit season. Shadowlands Daredevil doesn't necessarily fit in late game zoo as well, but early game, it's a must-have. We have our Khazar, Onslaught, and Ultron, the standard zoo cards that we'd run anyway. I upped that with Lizard because there's no really early game 2-drop that zoo is crazy about. I added the one real big concession card, the Thing. It works with Shadowlands Daredevil, and honestly, just having a bit of beef helps sometimes. I did realize one other cool trick, though, so hopefully my high CL players are still watching. America Chavez, if played after Shadowlands Daredevil, can give us an extra chance at a Daredevil hit. The cards in this deck, Nightcrawler, Blue Marvel, and Claw, after America Chavez, will be 6 or more power. They will trigger and buff Shadowlands Daredevil. It's a nice little trick. This deck can also travel with you up CL. Cards like Patriot, which will buff the demons, will buff Ultron's drones, and buff the Squirrel, so Squirrel Girl is an easy add as a must-have. As we look up in series, we're pretty happy to have several other cards. The recent release Selene makes a lot of sense here, although it'd be nice if she had 6 base power, obviously. Aforementioned cards like Debris fit in perfectly if we're running a bunch of cards that care about 1-drops and are buffed by 1-drops. There's a lot of other higher CL stuff that you can do with this deck to start really making it come together. I'm not sure if she's correct, but the card Mockingbird, which gets cheaper for each of your created cards in play, seems like a really good card to experiment with in this archetype. Sam Wilson, Captain America. Iron Patriot. Mr. Fantastic First Steps. Shadowlands Daredevil joins them in the ranks of the best 2-drop season pass cards ever. Get this card. You're not going to regret it. I'm Glazer. I'm Snap Judgments Pod, and I hope to see you in one of my videos soon. Peace.